In this video, I'm going to share with you how to use a really powerful, I think, feature of Google Docs, which is now called Google Drive, to gather input from your students. And you can even use this for quiz taking, if you'd like to, as an alternative to using the Moodle quiz module. It's not as powerful, but it is pretty easy to use. So if you're in a Google account, your school email account or your personal Google account, the toolbar will either show Drive or Docs depending on if you've upgraded or not yet. For me, it's Drive, so I'm going to click on Google Drive, and this takes me to my Google Drive. On the left-hand side, I have two red buttons. One's for Upload. If you want to upload an existing file, you'd click that button. There's a video I've shared on Moodle that walks you through the details of that. Today, what I want to do is create a form. So I click the Create button and click Form. What happens is I get this form creating screen that shows up. I can give it a title. Right now it's called Untitled Form, so I'm going to call this Sample Form. And then I can put some general instructions in this next box here. I'll just put fill out the form. Then there's a first question that's already in place in our form. It's called Sample Question 1. I'm just going to change it to 1 maybe. And then help text, which is essentially the instructions for this question. We have several different types of questions we can put on this form. One is text, where they just put in a small amount of text. Paragraph text, which is a longer answer in text that people just key in the answer to. Multiple choice, which they get to choose an option. And you can have jumps here, go to page based on answer if you'd like to. Check boxes, which is different than multiple choice because they can check more than one. Choose from a list, so this is like a pull down. And scale, so they can rank things, scale 1 to 5. And then grid, where they get columns and rows, where they get to basically rate things. I'll do an example of each of these types. So first I'm going to start out with the text. So what is your favorite ice cream? So the student would see that, and then there would be a text box where they can put their answer. I can make this a required question if I want to make sure that the students answer it, and then just click Done. If I want to go back and edit that later, I can click the little pencil button here. If I want to make one just like it and just modify it later, I can click Duplicate, or I can get rid of it by clicking the trash can. Sample Question 2 immediately pops up here, and I want to edit that. So I'm just going to call this 2. And I'm going to make this, a paragraph text is just a text with a bigger box, so I'm going to skip that one. I'm going to make this a multiple choice. So I'm going to put select your favorite ice cream. Option 1, Spumoni. Option 2, strawberry. Option 3, I'll make vanilla. And when I'm satisfied that I'm ready, I can just click Done. One option that you can do is click an Other button, which would allow me to put a little text box in there so that a student can fill in an option that isn't one of their options. And I can make that a required question, click Done, and then that question is there. Now, after your second question, Google's done giving you additional questions. So if you want to add a third question, go up to Add Item, and then select the type that you'd like. This will be a check boxes. That's the next one. So question number 3, my help text is going to be, what are your 2 favorite ice creams? So for option number 1, I can put the same things in here. Spumoni, strawberry, vanilla. And then click Required and Done if I want that to be a required question. Add another item. The next option is Choose from a list. So this is going to be number 4. The help text will be, which is your favorite way to eat ice cream? And option number 1 will be from a bowl waffle cone. Option 3 will be cake cone. Lick off the floor. So there's my options. Click done, and that shows up. So this is how that would look to the student. It just says, which is your favorite way to eat ice cream? And then there's a pull-down menu with those options on it. So that's what a choose from a list question is like. Add another question, scale. They'll click a scale question, and call this option question number 5. Help text is how much do you like vanilla ice cream? Scale is 1 to 5, where 1 is hate it and 5 is love it. And then I can just click done. And so now they have this scale that they can choose from 1 to 5, and it tells you which is best and which is worst. And then I'm going to add a grid. This is question number 6, I believe. Help text, rate the following ice cream flavors. And then you have 5 different columns, or you can make fewer columns if you'd like to. Column 1, label, hate it, tolerable, okay, good, and love it. So this is where you'd have the scale if this was a scale type question. And then you have rows. So now here are the types of ice cream. So spumoni, strawberry, and vanilla. So when I save this question, you can see what we've got here is 3 different types of ice cream, and each one they have a rating box for. So those are the types of questions that are available on the Google form. Now, what do you do with this form once you've created it? Well, the simplest thing to do is click email this form, and you can email it to everybody that you want to take the form. If you were trying to gather data from colleagues, this might be the easiest way to do this. You could choose right from your Google contacts, and since our email at school here is Gmail, that might be a very easy way to share this form with everybody in the contact list and collect information from everyone. Or you can put individual emails in there. Or, here's something that I like to do, is just send it to myself. Then when I go to my own email, I can open up that email, and here is a link. So I can copy that link and then share it with my students in Moodle that way. Here's what the person receiving the email sees. They see the title of the form, the instructions, and then they see all the questions, and they can fill it out right from their email and then submit it. However, with that link now, I can go to Moodle and go to add a resource URL, and then put a name and a description. I'm just going to call it form, and then paste that URL that I got from my email and click Save and Return to Course. And their form shows up. So if I click on form, if I'm a student, this sample form opens up, and then I can fill out my form. Here's something else you can do. You can dress this thing up a little bit by clicking on theme. Right now it's selected to plain, but I have a whole bunch of different themes that I can use here. 97 of them that are pre-made, and I think you can customize your own if you want to figure out how to do that. So I'm going to, it's just food related, so I'm going to click garden theme. And so now your form has a theme to it. It just dresses it up a little bit. It doesn't change any of the content at all. I'd also like to show you another way to share this on Moodle. If you go over to the More Actions button, one of your options is Embed. If you click Embed, you get a little bit of code that you can paste into any web page. So if you copy that and then go to Moodle, you can add a label. And then in label text, you can either title this thing if you'd like or just not, and click on the HTML button. This takes you to the source, and then you just paste in the code that the Google form gave you, and click Update. Click Save and return to course. And now that form is embedded right on your Google page. So as soon as the students open it up, they see this form, and they can take the little quiz right there. Now, one of the things that I find really useful for Google Forms is if I want to pre-test students' knowledge before we start a topic, I can just make a simple form with a number of simple questions and really quickly get their feedback. Now, how do you get their feedback? Let me fill out this form so that I have some feedback, and then I'll show you that. My favorite ice cream is Spumoni. So I'm going to select that from my favorite. My two favorites would probably be this option, Spumoni and strawberry. I like to eat it from a cake cone. I am kind of ambivalent about vanilla. I love Spumoni. I think strawberry is good and vanilla is okay. So now I submit that. Now, as the owner of this document, when I open up this form, I click on See Responses as a summary, and now I have this sort of bar graph pie chart summary of the responses, which is uninteresting because there's only one response. Or the other way that I can see this is as a spreadsheet. Now this spreadsheet opens up. I have a timestamp on here that tells when the question was answered or the form was filled out. I have all the responses, and if I wanted to, I could have had a question that was name, so I could tell who had responded if I wanted it not to be anonymous, like if it was for a grade or something like that. So that's how you can use forms together with Moodle to gather information quickly, and you can even use it as a quiz.